Hello and welcome to the first ever Sim to Glory here on Dexterity Box. Now, for this Sim to Glory, we are going to take a team all the way from League 2 to the Premier League. This is going to be a complete build. We're going to start with, there's going to be no cheating, no financial takeovers, anything like that. I know it's not technically cheating, but we're going to do this legitimately with the budget that a team has got all the way from League 2 to the Premier League. We are going to do this with Forest Green, and we are basically just going to see how well we can do. I don't know how long this is going to be. I'm aiming for around 10 seasons. Today's episode, we are doing the first season, and we're just setting that up now. We're looking at our objectives. They're not too harsh, to be fair. We need to get promoted. Everything else doesn't really matter. The youth stuff and everything's very low. I start the game by just looking at some potential signings. We get some scout reports off early. The important thing is to get young players and experienced players alike in this team, because as you can see here, we haven't got the best team to start with. They are decent for League 2, but the keeper's a weak area. He's only rated 60 overall, and we can definitely do better than that, especially if we want to get out of this league. Forest Green are kind of one of those middle of the table League 2 squads, so I'm just doing some moving around, looking at the best youth players. We don't really want too many old players with a lower rating in this squad if we've got young players that maybe just a slight bit off the actual level of the older players, but they've obviously got a lot more room for growth. I do look at a couple of Wednesday players here. We scout a couple of the youth keepers, things like that. I do know certain players on FIFA, so I'm starting by trying to get the actual Wednesday youth keeper, Cameron Dawson. He is the current actual Wednesday keeper in real life. This is kind of my only real Wednesday influence on this career. I'm trying to behave. But I thought Cameron Dawson, I know he's at like 66, 67 overall, so let's try and go in for a loan. We try and split the wages fairly. We want to keep the wages nice and low. They do battle us a bit, and then he doesn't want to split the wages that way. So we are out of luck on Cameron Dawson at the minute, which is unfortunate. Send some more scout reports off. We do that across the Premier League. We do it in La Liga. We'll do it in the Championship off-camera and things. We also look into the free agents, because I think free agents for League 2 is where we could really benefit from. There's a lot of quality in there. Even if they aren't the best as we progress, we might find some gems. We get to the first match and we lose 1-0. Unfortunately, this team isn't the best to start with. We aren't going to sim all of it like this. This is just the earlier stage. We'll do some bulk simming later on. We'll scout more players. We get some reports back, but the players aren't looking too great. We go in again for Cameron Dawson, trying to get him on loan. This time I've learnt my lesson. I'm still trying to get a little bit on the wages, and they're not too happy, but we do eventually sort of get to a common ground. It takes a little while because the Wednesday boss isn't having any of it, but then we get it. We go in for Ryan Brewster. 2-year loan would be great. He's a youngster. He's not the best overall, but I feel like he's got a lot of potential we could utilise. So we talk to Jurgen, try and get a decent split on it. Yet again, they're fighting back. But eventually, we get a 60-40 split there. I spend a lot of time in this early season part trying to scout a lot of players so we can have a lot of options when it comes to actually signing them, because this squad does need a rebuild if it's going to get where we want to. I kind of want to be building a League 1 squad before we even get there, so when we get to League 1 we'll be fairly comfortable. I do the old trick of trying to look for people whose contracts are coming out soon so we can build for next year in January, and we can have an idea when it comes to January who we'd like to sign. Unfortunately, Ryan Brewster rejects the loan move, which is sad. We did want a player in. I was thinking we'd sign him eventually, but he doesn't want to come. We get a 1-1 draw in the next pre-season game. We're not doing great, to be fair, a loss and a draw, so we really do need to improve on this squad. We've sold Roberts. Players that I'm getting rid of, we don't really need to go too far into. I'm just trimming the fat. Reece Brown is a player that we get a lot of offers for, actually. But he is only 22, rated 64. I believe he could be a real prospect for us. Dawson gets loaned in, which is good news for us. He can go straight in the side. More transfer offers coming in for players, but we do put Dawson straight in the side. Only 65 overall. I thought he was 67 for some reason. That's probably my mistake, but still way better than the overall 60 rating of the keeper we had before, and he's in for a season, so we'll see how he does with us, see how he grows. I spend the next good 20 minutes actually going through club by club, because the scouts we've got at League 2 level are awful, so I'm looking for players that I've heard of, that I used on FIFA before, that maybe we can bring into this squad on loan or for potential buy on a cheap. We lose 3-1 in that simulation. not too good. We really need to do something. But look at these. We've got scout reports back in. We have a 27-year-old centre-back free agent coming in at overall of 68. He is a gem that we have found amongst that. We might be able to bring him in. We look at Lovrenčić. I can't say that name. He's another one. And then Vargas, a 23-year-old striker in the mid-60s. He has got potential still, and he's on a free. We can see what we can do there. Pascu, should we try and get him on a loan? He's only 18. We could build him and then potentially sign him. He'd be good in our midfield. We do get a lot of crap in, unfortunately, as well. But we start the negotiations. We're going in for Engelson. I can't say that name. I'm just going to call him Eyolfsson. I'll call him Eyolfsson. It looks a lot more accurate towards his name, even though it's still probably wrong. We try and get him in. It'll be a solid addition. We don't really want to go too high on it. I'm not too sure where to put the actual money at the minute because I'm not sure what wages these guys will need. The suggested wage was way off, and I probably paid him too much with $7,000, but it's acceptable. We'll take it. We go in for the right back, Lovrenčić. I'm saying that even worse. I'm going to call him Lovren. I'm still no good with names. We try $6,000 this time because we obviously don't want to get the cutscene where they're not too happy, and that one goes in, so maybe we're paying too much. Vargas is a player I definitely want in this team. Overall, 66 at 23. He'll definitely be a crucial player. They're recommending 7,600. We're going to try and get him in on 2 years, try and get him for a little bit less than that because the recommenders have been way off. And then he actually comes in and says he only wants 3,100. We remove the bonus he asked for, and it goes through. Trying to get this guy in on loan. Pascu at 64 overall. If we can get him in on loan, he's not the best, but for this League 2 squad, he could be someone we build and eventually buy. So we're just trying to get that wages split right. I'm not too fond of taking loans if we're not going to be able to buy them, but I'm trying to go realistic. They do accept it. So we just quickly put our frees into the team. Just trying to make that squad a little bit thicker and have a little bit more depth as well, because obviously it is League 2, so if we have to trade these players out through injury or anything like that, it is good to have the originals still around. So I'm not going to sell too many, but I am going to ship off some that we're not really going to use. But there is some sort of like mid-20s players here that will be decent because they're around the early 60s, so they'll just be good to have as backup. More scout reports come in. We just check those over. The more I look at these players, the more I'm just like, they're not good enough for the team building forwards because the teams are going to want a fee for them, and we've just got better frees than that. But then I see this Kyle Edwards, and 65 at age 20, he could be someone that we build through because he's already ready for League 1 pretty much. And if we can get him on a loan, that would be beneficial to the club because we probably can't afford to buy him out just now, especially when we want to be looking at other areas of the squad. But he's somebody that when we get to League 1, a bit more money, we'll definitely buy. But no, it's not to be. He rejects the loan move. That seems to be a pattern that's emerging. Nobody wants to come on loan to this club, so we're going to have to do things the hard way. So I keep going in for players, scouting more, just thinking some of these we're not going to be able to afford, but somebody must be able to come here on loan. We look at Akinfenwa. Unfortunately, he's retiring. He would have been a legendary signing. We've got a match, the first match of the season here, up against Grimsby. We simulate that and it ends in a 0-0, I'm afraid. So it's obvious there's still work to do if we're going to make this squad a promotion squad. So we keep looking at players. I think I've done quite well so far with signings, so we have got a little bit of money to spend. So if we can just get some of these, maybe these higher wage players in on loan, we go for Asuro. Try and get him in for 2 years, but yet again, we have another loan rejected. I really don't think these loans are going to go through at this point, and to be fair, I just think, right, let's try and sign someone. If we can't loan him, let's go to buy this Edwards, because Edwards is a player I'd buy eventually. We've got money, not a lot of it, but let's put what we've got, some of it, into this guy. So we go, we're trying to get a decent fee for him. They keep coming back, and then they want too much for him, so I do end the negotiation. We got a game against Oldham, and that's a 3-0 win, so the hope is there. The free agents seem to have come into the squad and made us decent at home at least, so that's promising going forwards. Got a cup game up now against Grimsby again for some strange reason. But that ends in a 2-1 win for us. much better than in the league. We have got a lot of games that we're playing now because I'm trying to get through those transfers to the end of the season. We do lose to Bury there, or Berry, however you want to pronounce it. I think Berry's the correct pronunciation. And now we sack the transfer window off. We're doing our first big simulation through the season, going through the mass portion of it. I'm going to be doing this pretty much throughout the series. We get through the transfer windows. When we're not signing any more players, we just skip up until the next transfer window, and then we get into the action, see how the team's doing. We see that a couple of players' loans have expired here, so some have gone back. I didn't even know we had players in on loan. Still in the FA Cup. Risk of losing a couple of players, so we might have to look at some contracts. Some of the minor contract work I do off camera, but not a lot of it. The main ones, like these players here, players that I think we will actually need in the squad, even if it's just for a couple more years or as backup. We're trying to get good deals on them. If we can get them to lower the wages, that's always good, removing bonuses, and they all seem happy at the club, so it's not too much of a problem to get a lot of players in and staying, basically. But there is some players amongst the ones that the contracts are running out that have just not got enough potential. Their overall rating's too low. I don't see them having a future, so we are going to let them go at the end of the season. If they decide to go on freeze, that's up to them. Brown here is obviously a player that I want to keep hold of. He seems like one of the promising ones that we actually inherited in this Forest Green squad. Want to keep him whatever, really. We don't want to lose him, and we managed to get him on a 3-year deal. We also had a player in Dodge that was out on loan. I think it's how you pronounce it. I don't understand why Forest Green would loan out their best striker to Bolton, but I do work to correct this because he's a player I didn't even know we had. I didn't even think to check the loans. Obviously, I put a lot more scout reports in. That goes in for quite a while. I've sped that up quite a lot. Back into the league now against Northampton. We get a 2-1 win. So it's very hit and miss with this squad. I think there's a little bit more I can do just to tighten it up. I should mention that we are actually second in the league. So the hit and miss on the results that I've been simulating. But obviously that first half of the season went quite well. We're getting the winner on tracks for like youth things and things like that, so the board aren't too happy with us on that, but I get that a lot. I'm focusing on promotion. Let's get out of this league. Second at the minute is not too bad. I put Dodge back into the team at this point, realising that it's better than Reed, who is 30 and hasn't really got a future with us. Dodge is younger as well. Another game against Grimsby. I seem to enjoy these in this episode, and it's a loss. Grimsby seem to have got the better of us this season, beating us twice in the league, which is unfortunate. Looking at some more players, yet again seeing that the players that we're getting in from this scout are not that good. They're getting on and they're only just getting the squad, so they're not somebody I want going forward. Game against Oldham ends in a 1-1 draw. Then we've got the Cup against Macclesfield, which is the replay of the FA Cup match. They beat us 4-3 on penalties after a 2-2 game, which is unfortunate. We're out of the Cup, but we can focus on the league now. 2-2 against Bury. And unfortunately, we find out that Reece Brown has suffered quite a heavy injury. He's going to be out for quite a few weeks. So that is a blow to the squad because it was nice to have the depth. So I think, do I need to look back into this transfer market? We're now looking at who can we sign on a free? Who has got that contract that's running out at the end of the season and will join us when we hopefully get to League One? So I think we'll go in for Ford here. This is a player that I think is 66 overall, 25. He'd be a good League One player, and that's where we're going. So let's try and get him on a 3-year deal. He accepts that. It could be a really good signing for us as we go up. Offer him an 8 grand wage, which is better than a lot of our players are on, and he accepts. So we've got him joining us in the summer. A 2-1 win there for us against Stevenage. So we're putting points on the board, trying to cement that second spot, if not take the title. Looking at some more players now. I go a little bit ambitious with that Notts Forest player and realise we cannot afford him, but we're looking at some centre-backs here. I see Mark Beavers, his contract, he's 29, he's at 71 overall. If we could get him in, it'd be insane. So I try and approach to sign him now on deadline day. If we can get this guy at centre-back for when we get into League One, he will be an amazing League One player at 71 overall. Try and get him on a 2-year deal. I think I tried for a little bit more, but what he wanted 1 year, so I said 2 years. He wants 9.2. Them wages I'm happy to put him on, especially for a player of that quality at this level. I look at Daniel Pudil, we think, let's try and get him as backup. I want him as rotation. He wants crucial. I know I'm not going to be able to give him that, so I try and drop it down to important. Still wants crucial. So then I lie, and I say, sure, I'll give you crucial, because at the minute he probably could fit in that squad, but we do have decent centre-backs, especially with Beavers coming in. I do think Daniel Puda will just be cover, but he is somebody worth getting in at 6,100 a week. Asoro, let's try and actually get this guy now on a loan. We tried to buy him, but they can't sell him because they've just got him or something like that. So we've had half a season that's been brilliant. Can you join us now? We're doing the same for Brewster. We're going in for him again. We're just trying to get these guys in on loan to bolster the squad. And I hope that the loans will work now. You know, we've got through half a season. We've done quite well. I decide that I'm going to go in and buy Edwards. He's gone up by 2 in half a season, so I think we might not get him as cheap earlier. They wanted 970 for him. What if we offer 8 with a sell-on clause here? And they actually accept it this time. I don't know what was going on there, but we are in contract negotiations with a player who could be really big for this squad. We want him on a 5-year deal. He wants 2. Try and go in the middle at 3. 3 years is decent for him. We can reassess in those 3 years. Try and get him on a wage that sort of fits in with the rest of the squad, but give him a decent signing bonus. And he accepts, and maybe they took less. You never know. I've been going a little bit too high on these wages. But he slipped straight into the squad from where Brown was injured. It's deadline day, obviously, and that's both loan moves rejected. I don't know what I have to do here. So what I do instead is I think, no, let's look towards next season now. Let's have a look at players that I know the name of, know are decent on FIFA without even scouting them, whose contracts are running out. Let's do big names. Let's look at big players in the Championship, some of the Prem players, see what we can do, really. And that comes to Wilfred Bonney. If we can get this guy, I know he's at least mid-70s on FIFA. Money might be an issue, but he is 30, and that's not ridiculously old for League One. So we try and get him on a longer deal. He wants 2 years, 1 year, but we get him on 2. Obviously, no release clause. This is good. I am so surprised when I see this wage come in, because he's on triple this currently, but he'll take 16 grand. We just remove the bonus and hope that works. Then he wants a little bit more. He wants 18.5, but still, that was a lot less than I thought I'd have to pay. Obviously, it's more than our other players, but it's Wilfred Bonney, who's going to be playing with us in League One, and we get him. And then I see Chris Brunt. I think he'd be a good guy in the midfield. He obviously is getting on a little bit now, but for League One, he would be a quality player. Can we bring him in at 8 grand? And no, that's where they find it quite insulting, really. But he's not my only option. We've got Tom Huddleston. I'm sure you've heard of him. Plays for Derby. Try and bring him in. League One, that'd be amazing, even at 32. He wants 18.5 grand. We try and bring that down a little bit because it's a little bit pricey for us. We've obviously just paid that for Bonney. He still wants 18. I think, nah, sod it. We'll get him. He'll be a good quality player. I know he's over 70 at least. Bring him in and make that League One squad quality. Now it's time for a little bit more simulation. We're going to go right up till about the last 3 matches of the season so we can end it in a dramatic style, see where we're at when it gets to late April. We come back to many messages, as you do when you simulate this much. Lots of press conferences that have just stacked up. We're not on track. It's the youth again. I'm just like, leave me alone. I don't want to put into the youth academy. I know I probably should with a team like this, but the scouts, we just can't afford a good scout. A good scout would take all our transfer budget, and it's just not worth it. We go into the press conference against Cambridge, want to motivate these players for a strong end of the season. We're still up there, guys. We are second in the league by 5 clear points. So it's looking good going into this Exeter match, which is the last game of the season, and we get 1-0 up early on in the game. Gunning, unfortunately, takes a knock. It's a yellow card for our right back, but can we hang on to this 1-0? We can make it 2 with Edwards. 2-0 going into half-time, so the second half, can we keep this lead? This would be a good way to end the season in style. Bringing on some subs now, not too much happening, pretty still in the game. They get one back, makes it kind of awkward going into the last few minutes, but then we get a third in Vargas. Vargas is absolutely smashing this game with 2. And that's it. We have got promoted, guys. Tournament prize money, we've got over $1 million. Let's have a look at how these players have grown over the season. Dawson's gone up by 2 to 67. I've not actually done like the best stats like top scorer and things like that for the first couple of seasons. I do apologise. I will do that in the future when I'm recording this series, just not for the first couple of episodes because I forgot. But as you can see, a couple of our players have done decent. We've got quite a lot of improvement on a few of the sort of younger players. Edwards is up to 68. He could really be good for us going into League One. Brown is at 65. Dodge has gone up to 66. Vargas is at 67. We got him at 66, obviously. So it's not a massive improvement, but they are slowly getting there. Looking at other leagues from around the world, Chelsea have won the Premier League with Liverpool being runners-up, Man City being 5th, which is kind of hard to believe. Going down are Bournemouth, Huddersfield and Cardiff City. Not a great season for them. The Championship, my boys Sheffield Wednesday have topped it. They have beat Stoke City to the Championship title, both of them going up, with Bolton, Birmingham and Rotherham going down. League One, Sunderland are coming back up with Charlton. Not too much of a surprise there on FIFA. Going down, we have Accrington, Rochdale, AFC Wimbledon and Gillingham, because I do believe it's 4 that get relegated from League One, if I'm not mistaken. PSG have won League One, not surprising there at all. They are a dominant side with probably one of the best front threes in the world, if not the best. Bayern have won the Bundesliga, beating Dortmund by 1 point. Quite tight up there. A decent league, but it's all very tight at the top. Only 4 points in it, amongst the top 3, that is. We're looking at the other teams in Serie A, for example. Juventus have absolutely smashed it. Porto have obviously won that league. I don't think any other team but Porto ever win that league. Celtic have beat Rangers to the title, so that battle is forever going on. Will we see Rangers beat Celtic at some point? Barcelona winning La Liga with Real Madrid being the runners-up. This is how League 2 ended up. MK Dons took the title 4 points above us. It was only 4 points in it. But we are going up. Macclesfield, Tranmere, Morecambe and Notts County would be in trouble if this was the real league. Manchester United won the FA Cup, beating the Bournemouth in the final. Arsenal won the League Cup 3-2. Gillingham won the Checkatrade Trophy. Mansfield Town have still got to play that promotion playoff, because when I recorded this first episode I screwed up my timings. Juventus have won the Champions League. I must have been on penalties because it was 1-1, and Milan have beat Marseille in the Europa League final. So that has been the first episode of our first ever Sim to Glory here on Dexterity Box. It's been a lot of fun to do. It's a new experience for me on this channel. I hope you've enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a comment if there's any players you'd like to see us sign. I am a couple of seasons into it now, and you'll be seeing those over the next few weeks. But for now, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, do all those things, and keep watching right here on Dexterity Box.